What a contrast. On the one hand, there's Meghan Markle, marries into Britain's royal family, tears it apart, calls it racist, betrays its secrets, smears the King and Prince William, and estranges her husband from his family, Prince Harry. In contrast, there's an Australian woman, Mary Donaldson, Tasmanian, who at a Sydney pub in 2000 met a Danish prince, Frederick, fell in love, married him in 2004. Next week, she's going to step up to become Queen of Denmark after the sudden abdication of Queen Margrethe. Joining me from London is Danish foreign correspondent Jesper Steinmetz. Jesper, thank you so much for your time. Look, there are all sorts of conspiracy theories about why the Danish Queen suddenly announced she's stepping down. One is that she's trying to keep Mary in the family, keep the crown safe, after Prince Frederick was snapped last November, slipping into the apartment in Madrid of a Mexican socialite, not leaving until the next morning. Do you believe this theory?
I think it's absolutely rubbish to think that the Danish Queen all of a sudden, because of what might have happened in Madrid, made this decision. I honestly think that this has been in the making maybe for years, maybe since her 50th anniversary as sovereign a couple of years ago. It's very clear that she's aged. She turns 84 in April, and I think she just realized that, listen, I need to pass on the baton before my own son reaches retirement age, as was the case in this country.
But Jesper, the one thing about that conspiracy theory I like is it is a tribute to how Danes apparently do see Mary as an asset to the royal family, as someone who's a symbol of stability. Do you see it that way?
Oh, totally. I mean, there's no doubt that Mary is loved by all Danes and extremely respected. It's almost as if she's more royal than the family, the royal family itself. She doesn't put a foot wrong. She doesn't. She has perfected the role as a crown princess almost from the second she entered the country, and there's a huge respect for her workability, her effort to basically do what's good for the country and do what's good in that capacity as crown princess. So yes, she gets really high marks from almost everyone in the country.
Well, one thing she gets high marks for, I mean, it's a symbol of how she's prepared to join in, which is always a big thing, you know, where strangers wanting to join your culture. Her Danish. Now, I was born to Dutch migrants. You could trip over my accent, it's so strong when I speak Dutch. How good is her Danish?
It's really, really good. I've interviewed her several times, and I'm always really impressed with how she manages this totally impossible language. It may be even more impossible than Dutch, I would say. It's very guttural. It's everything that the English language is not. And of course she speaks with an accent, but before she started learning Danish, she didn't speak any other languages apart from English. So I have to say I'm very impressed with also her vocabulary. It's at a very high level.
Well, I'm a bit stung by you saying Danish is even more guttural than Dutch and harder. Please, you know, Scheveningen, have you got words like that? We're pretty guttural too. But where is the future for the Danish royal family under Frederick and Mary? Where do you see that going?
It all depends on them. I mean, they need to show that they, as the monarch and the queen, are relevant in a modern society. In so many ways, it's kind of contradictory to have a monarchy in a modern welfare state like the Danish one. I mean, Danes tend to think that we are very equal, that no one is above anyone else. You have a term in Australia called the tall poppy syndrome. We have something similar in Denmark. So in that respect, it is kind of absurd that everyone, or 9 out of 10, loves the royal family. But that love is dependent on how they behave. If they in the future show that they're not relevant, or if they do missteps like traveling a lot to Madrid or other places on private visits, that popularity is risky and it may drop. So it's all up to them. They have to define themselves as someone that have a role to play in a modern country like Denmark.
Well, in all the countries in Europe, I suspect, with royal families, Britain, Holland, yours, it's by consent, and they have to act as centres of stability and consolation, etc., etc. They can't go off on their frolics, otherwise it doesn't work. Jesper Steinmetz, thank you so much indeed for your time. Really appreciate it.